Okay, here's an interesting one. And it's long, but I think it's worth an answer. Um, I don't care so much about being labeled an atheist, or what being an atheist means, or being in the club of atheists. I can take or leave that. I don't have to be an atheist. What matters to me is that I am a rational person. And when I see something that affects me or my life, or a proposition is being made that is irrational, or logically inconsistent, or then I will fight that. That's what I'll tackle, and that's what I'll deal with. If I make it my quest to go out and try to find arguments against theological systems that don't really affect me, don't bother me in any way, don't aren't causing people to act irrationally, and people in the government to make laws about my life, it's not so much something that concerns me. But I do want to say, I consider myself an atheist because I am exactly that. I am atheistic. A is a prefix meaning without or not, and theism is the belief in God. So I am without theism. I don't have to have an argument against Zeus in order to just happen to not believe in Zeus. And by the way, a lack of evidence against the existence of something is not evidence for the existence of something. This is, Bertrand Russell's teapot, or the flying spaghetti monster. I mean, people use those examples all the time to prove that it's not our job. The burden of proof isn't on me. So somebody tells me they believe in Zeus, I don't really give a shit. I don't care. That's fine. That's irrational. You have no evidence or reason to believe in something like that, but it's not affecting my family or my life or my friends or my government. And so that's why I go after the Judeo-Christian, the Abrahamic sort of gods, because those are the ones that are the most popular and the most influential in my life. And those are the ones that I do want to bring down. And if something else became more prominent or more effective in my life, then I'd be concerned about that. So hopefully that answers your question. I think that the answer
Is obviously no. He will not marry a Christian or Muslim because I am not Christian or Muslim, and he will marry me if he ever wants to put something here. Here?
um
Continue.
yeah. I got nothing. I got okay, I'm gonna take another go at this, hopefully without the pressure. Um, I think that the question really should be, would a Christian or Muslim date me? They're the ones with the dogma, they're the ones with the beliefs. I don't have any standard of, Uh, so to answer, yeah, I don't think I would let something like that stop me. I don't think I would let just knowing that somebody was a Christian or a Muslim. I don't think that would stop me from pursuing them if I really like them, or starting to date them. But I've done it before, and I mean, I know from experience that ultimately something like that does get in the way, and it is a huge impediment, especially if both take their respective worldviews seriously. It is an impediment to a relationship. I mean, if the person that I love and I are standing and looking at the world and we're seeing two different things, that's a problem, you know. Um, I wouldn't be bigoted about it, but I am aware that uh, in my mind it's not healthy, and I think love is investment in the growth and happiness of another person, and I think if I were dating somebody that suffered from delusions, I'm sorry, but I would want to change that or stop that or intervene or have some kind of intervention in some way. So that's my answer. I subscribe to the philosophy that if you parent well enough, you won't need to address faith and belief. Um, I think that kind of thing should come naturally if it's true, if it's the right kind of thing. What I mean by that is, um, I think I would do somewhat a little bit what was done with me. My parents didn't really address, didn't say we're Zen Buddhists or we're atheists or we're this or that. I mean, they just sort of um, raised me to think critically and to love mystery and curiosity and to ask questions um, and to think intelligent, and have those motivations, those drives to want to find and pursue truth and to ask questions and so on and so forth. Um, and I think I would like to do that with my child, whenever, if ever, I have one. And I think that will lead to. I won't need to say, "Oh, we don't believe in that." Oh, Christians? No, well, they're bad. No, we don't. I mean, I'm sure that part of the experience is I would have a kid, and one day that kid would come home from school and say, "Hey, all my friends say that Jesus died for my sins, or that I'm going to go to heaven. What's heaven? Do we believe in that and this and that?" And at that point, hopefully, I'll be able to just say, "I don't know. What do you think?" And they would say, "Sounds silly to me," or they would start up a dialogue. But I'm not so insecure about the truth of my beliefs that I feel that I would have to tell them what's true before they have a chance to explore that themselves. And I do. I'm cocky enough. I'm cocky enough of an atheist that I feel that I would never have to even have the conversation with them or tell them what they believe or tell them what I believe or what they should believe, and leave them alone. But by virtue of the fact that I've raised them to be rational, they'll end up thinking the right way, and they may enlighten me in some way. I mean, I'm all for children being smarter than their parents, and I may learn something from them. So it's not something I worry about too much. Do I think 9/11 was an inside job? I don't know. I wouldn't pretend to know. That's a really silly thing for me to pretend like I have any. We've all seen the movie. I mean, we've seen the evidence for one side, then we've seen the rebuttals, and we've seen the evidence for the other side. I watch one side and I think I'm convinced, and then I see the other side and I think, oh, that debunked a lot of it, not all of it, but there's still a possibility. Maybe there's explanations. I, I lean towards it probably was not an inside job. There may have been some shady thing. I don't think like Bush hired terrorists to go, take down the World Trade Center, or that it was necessarily blown up from the inside, things like that. There was definitely negligence, on the part of our government. He may have known about it and not given a shit, or known about it and been like, oh, let it happen. It'll be good for my publicity. That I think is definitely a possibility. What bothers me, though, about this subject in particular is when people like scoff at people who do believe that it happened, that it was a conspiracy, or that it was an inside job. When people go, "Oh, come on, that's so silly, that's impossible." It's not impossible. I mean, it's one thing to think that this time it didn't happen, that our government didn't necessarily pull the wool over our eyes. But to think that a government has never done that or would never do that is just naive. And I hate it when I hear people laugh at the idea. You can be agnostic about it. You can not know. You can lean towards one way, or you can say it's improbable or things like that. But it strikes me as arrogant when people try to shoot down, without really having any conclusive arguments. Just make people who do believe it was an inside job feel stupid. Shame on you for that. Because even if it didn't happen, doesn't mean it's not possible, and that it hasn't happened before time and time again in culture after culture, society after society, government after government, including our own. So there's my answer.